So Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ochocinco is back at it again. They went viral again. For those who've been living under a rock, I'd like your boy to explain. Shannon Sharpe was doing a live presentation of NightCap. He was waiting on his partner, Chad Ochocinco, to appear. Chad Johnson came a little late. His reasoning for being late is because he was locked out of his car. He had to wait for someone to unlock the vehicle for him so he can get into the car. And Shannon Sharpe went on this. He got upset with him, telling him, using a couple examples of when he was at ESPN and other places, he had a driver drive him to those destinations. And Chad Johnson agreed, but sort of disagreed, saying that he always drives himself at these destinations. Shannon Sharpe also let him know that in order to get Chad Johnson where on the level he needs to be, he needs to push Chad Johnson to become that person. They went back and forth. Chad Johnson said he's not bending all the way. He doesn't mind bending a pause a little bit, but he doesn't want to change who he is and what he is. He also was letting Shannon Sharpe know that, Shannon Sharpe made the comment that low-key saying that his success and him being famous is the reasoning behind why he is who he is doing NightCap. Chad Johnson disagreed with him, saying, look, I was famous before I met you, I'm going to be famous after. So, and I did a video on it yesterday, and it's up today, and I'm going to make this video be the later video for today. And I talked about how, I understand what Shannon Sharpe was saying. I don't disagree with anything Shannon Sharpe has said, but the only issue and the only problem I have with this is he made it a public affair. I felt like this should have been held behind this discussion should have been behind closed doors. Obviously they're more than just partners, they're friends. And, you would think, this would have been the right approach. Now, like I said in the previous video, who knows? Shannon Sharpe probably have these discussions behind closed door. And Chad Johnson is not taking it to heart. So maybe this is a strategy of Shannon Sharpe saying, well, if I make this public, he would understand where I'm coming from, and he will take the necessary steps to be the person Shannon Sharpe wants him to be. Now, Shannon Sharpe, I always told you guys, I feel like Shannon Sharpe is, he's a hard worker at his craft and what he does. And, a lot of people don't give Shannon Sharpe his credit, his flowers. He's a great interviewer. He makes his guests feel very comfortable, like they're at home. I think that's a rare talent not a lot of people have, and that's why he gets these viral podcasts, these viral interviews like Cat Williams, Tyrese. Now, Marlon Wayans is his interview with Marlon Wayans it looked like it's heading to those Cat Williams numbers or beyond that. We won't know until the final results, even though they're videos and the clips and all. And I kept telling everybody, I really do appreciate, Shannon Sharpe. He's very entertaining. He's very, the information. He understands what he's doing. He's very comical, and he's a great interviewer. I gave Shannon Sharpe his flowers. However, Shannon Sharpe has made mistakes. Let's not make Shannon Sharpe into this holier than thou person that has never did anyone wrong or said anything wrong. Okay. And I used a couple examples in the previous video of the time when he was, at the Memphis Grizzlies game. That was a huge mistake on Shannon Sharpe. And I felt like that was the only time Shannon Sharpe humbled himself and went on and apologized. He also has, when he was on Skip Shannon's Undisputed, he would always tear down people's careers just to build up, someone else's career, i.e. LeBron James. So there's a lot of things that Shannon Sharpe has done right, and there are a lot some things that I just disagree with Shannon Sharpe's approach. Okay, because that's just Shannon Sharpe. Okay, and I gave him his flowers and things of that nature. And I do feel like in this situation, he thought that maybe making it public, and I don't know Shannon Sharpe. I'm not trying to make excuses for Shannon Sharpe. Maybe he thought that making it public, Chad Johnson will see the errors of his way, and it's backfiring on Shannon Sharpe. Because a lot of people on social media, this is the audience, Shannon Sharpe, pleased to, and a lot of people on social media is not feeling what Shannon Sharpe has done with Chad Johnson. And a lot of people are saying it's kind of funny how you had an issue with Skip Bayless behaving and talking down to you and talking and, or disrespecting you, even when y'all was doing Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Now you're taking those same tactics that you had an issue with Skip Bayless, and now you're applying them to Chad Johnson. All right. A lot of people are saying that on social media. Now, it's up to you if you want to believe it or not. It's up to you if you want to do some research and just look at the tweets. And, Shannon Sharpe has been defending himself. All right. With a lot of people commenting. I really do appreciate Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe really doesn't have to comment on everyone's opinion about how he's handling this situation. He could just whatever. But I do appreciate Shannon Sharpe on that level. Now, but back to Chad Johnson, I feel like this strategy ultimately is going to backfire on Shannon Sharpe. And Shannon Sharpe making it go public is going to make Chad Johnson understand in actuality is doing more harm than good. It's, weaponizing Chad Johnson's behavior. And Chad Johnson is no stranger to this. And there's a reason why Chad Johnson bounced from, network to network, job to job. He really doesn't stay stable. I'm talking about on the media circuit side of things, okay? I Am Athlete, he was on there and he was in and out of there. Then finally he just left, or they just agreed to disagree. He's, been on several ESPN shows, have bounced around there. He has done, other shows on different networks, can't keep it stable. And this is Chad Johnson. Now, I do feel like Chad Johnson is a hard worker. And like I said in the previous video, there are multiple ways to skin a cat. I don't think necessarily one way is the right way or the best way. But if it gets the results, then it gets the results. Clearly, Shannon Sharpe feels like the way how he approaches things is the better alternative than what Chad Johnson is doing. And you can clearly tell that they have two different skills. They have two different mindsets. But the results are pretty much the same. Now, is Chad Johnson is on the same level as Shannon Sharpe? I don't think anyone is recommending that. Even if Chad Johnson takes more of the approach of Shannon Sharpe, he's never going to be a Shannon Sharpe. Okay? It's just the way it is. But I feel like you should be yourself. I'm not recommending that being late is an excuse. I feel like if you're working at a job and your schedule says you need to be there at 9 a.m., you need to be there at 9 a.m. Not 9:05, not 9:30, 9 a.m. You at least owe your job that. You at least owe your responsibilities for that, okay? So I do understand, Shannon Sharpe's issue with Chad Johnson, but, it is what it is. So I made a video on that next day, and I'm not a huge NightCap viewer. I do watch the clips, And this clip is floating around where Shannon Sharpe is getting ready to start the presentation, and there's no Chad Ochocinco. All right. And they're saying that this is a prank. Okay. Or they're saying this is a joke, and you can clearly tell, you can visibly clearly tell, Shannon Sharpe this is not funny to Shannon Sharpe, okay? Because in his mind, and like I said, I don't know Shannon Sharpe, but in his mind, once the cameras start rolling, okay, we're on my time, or we're on the time where it's time to make the donuts, okay? It's okay to be funny and silly, but it's time to, get everything together, get our issues together, all right? And you can clearly tell he was frustrated because he's looking at his screen, his monitor, and he sees an empty chair with no Chad Johnson. Now, they're saying that this is a prank. They're saying this is a joke. Chad Johnson did finally appear, and he made the comment that he was late. Now, I didn't watch the whole clip. I didn't hear him, but I watched a lot of the clip for him to get the opportunity to tell Shannon Sharpe, hey, this is just a joke. Ha ha, shits and giggles, from the previous episode, But like I said in today's video, I feel like this is going to be, it's the way how Shannon Sharpe tried to motivate Chad Johnson by trying to, throw his laundry out there to the public. I feel like this is going to backfire, and this is going to do more harm than good. Okay. Now, Chad Johnson is just not wired like Shannon Sharpe. And I'm not saying Chad Johnson is a bad person. I'm not saying Shannon Sharpe is a bad person, but we all have coworkers at work who behave this way, okay? Who just come in, just do their job, but they don't take their job that seriously. And I feel like Chad Johnson is one of those type of individuals. But still, at the end of the day, they get the job done. Now, along the way, they may come in late, okay? They may clock out early, okay? They may take a long, extended lunch. They may go missing, but at the end of the day, the job is getting done, okay? Their antics is not meaning that they're not performing at their job, okay? They're just not taking it as seriously as you would at your job, okay? And we have all worked with people like that. But you have to be, you have to have a lot of patience with people like this, okay? And at the end of the day, you don't pick who you work for. I mean, who you want to work with. Now with Shannon Sharpe, this is all from what I'm gathering from my research. I mean, this whole NightCap set, everything is on Shannon Sharpe's dime. Okay, the equipment, the personnel, the producers. Okay, the studio, all this stuff is on Shannon Sharpe's dime. Now, it's coming out of multiple ways, out of his pocket, out of his sponsors, whatever, but it's still all on his dime. And even though he says publicly that NightCap is their thing, meaning Shannon Sharpe and Chad Johnson, now publicly he's saying that, but on paper, is it, the way it is written on paper, is 50% of NightCap Chad Johnson and 50% of NightCap is Shannon Sharpe? I don't think so. Financially, technically, Shannon Sharpe is Chad's boss. Now, he can say on social media and whatever publicly that they're partners 50-50, but you're not a partner unless it's written that way. And I don't believe it's written that way, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, okay? Shannon Sharpe is his boss, is Chad's boss. And Chad Johnson is coming off as, hey, look, you're not my boss. We just work together, okay? And that's the dilemma that they find themselves in. And I feel like they wouldn't be in this dilemma if Shannon Sharpe would have been more vocal on, more vocal on what's going on, okay? What is Chad Johnson to him in this production, okay? Letting him know that, hey, I'm the boss. I'm making these decisions. I'm putting a lot of my time, resources, and money into this. We're partners when we do the presentation, but lock, stock, and barrel, NightCap is mine, and I got to maneuver in a certain way to keep this going because now it's not only to keep food in Chad Johnson's mouth or keep food in Shannon Sharpe's mouth. Shannon Sharpe has a whole team that he has to pay for, okay? Which, Chad Johnson, he understands that, but I don't think Chad Johnson understands the ramifications of what Shannon Sharpe is doing with NightCap, okay? So I think that should have been discussed in the beginning. But like I said, you get what you pay for. There's been Chad Johnson's MO at every stop. And this is a reason why Chad Johnson just simply cannot keep a job or cannot be at a place longer than 5 years. Okay, well, the amount of time really doesn't matter. But this is why he comes and goes. He's at one place and then he's at another place. Okay, he maneuvers this way because of his behavior. And if you look, and I'm pretty sure if you talk to his previous bosses, his previous employers, they would all say the same thing about Chad Johnson. A great guy. He's very entertaining, very informational. But at the same time, he doesn't really take it very seriously. Okay. And that's where they're at. Okay. I don't like this last clip, and I would show y'all the whole clip, but I'm in fear of, NightCap and Shannon Sharpe or what, taking the video down because I don't want to show the whole clip. I wish I could show the whole clip, but it just goes to show, dog, this, and like I said in my previous video, this can go left real fast, real quick. So maybe at the end of this particular show or this particular episode, somewhere in the episode, Chad Johnson, hey, look, I was just joking. I'm just messing with you, from the last time. I'm just trying to be lighthearted. I'm trying to be funny and, move from it. But this is carryover from the previous episode where Shannon Sharpe, publicly, and you want to say is exposing Chad Johnson. And I feel like both of them handled it like professionals, but I do feel like I understand where Shannon Sharpe was coming from, but those conversations should have been private, all right? And to me, when you're the boss and you got all of the pressure at your doorstep, you have to handle and perceive and move differently when you was an employee. Okay, you're the employer. Okay, and like I said in the last video, I've seen countless bosses act this way, where they have an issue with something's going on at the company, or they have an issue with a certain employee. They have a meeting, and then they publicly throw their issues about the employee. Now, some of them don't say their name, but people talk in the office. People talk at the workplace. And when you start talking, you start, labeling the times and the stories, people are not dumb. They know who you're talking about, okay? Before they meeting even start, people already know what you're going to talk about, okay? And I feel like that strategy is not a good strategy. And it really just shows, how you're failing in leadership. There's multiple ways to motivate people, okay? And sometimes, it just doesn't fit. It just doesn't work. You as the leader should already know and take steps into doing something else, all right? I'm not a huge endorser of airing out someone's laundry at a meeting or just airing it out publicly. And I do feel like you have to humble yourself. And when you do that, you need, the next meeting, you need to apologize. You need to just hey, look, I was wrong on how I approach that situation. And that will galvanize your workforce. They will work even harder when they say, "Oh, our boss, he humbled himself." Okay, but there's a lot of people out there, and Shannon Sharpe made this mistake. Well, they'll double down on something that they were totally wrong on. I mean, on how they handled it. Okay, and I understand where Shannon Sharpe was coming from when he said, "Look, um, you know, he wants to take Chad Johnson to another stratosphere." And he felt like just airing out his disagreements with Chad Johnson so far would make Chad Johnson finally see the light, and Chad Johnson would change, okay? And it totally backfired on Shannon Sharpe. Now, at the end of the day, um, this is not as big. This this could blow up in Shannon Sharpe's face, and I felt like Shannon Sharpe had an opportunity to just apologize on how he handled it, but not apologize on what he was saying, because what he was saying was 100% fact. I just felt like he should have just kept that behind closed doors instead of publicly outing someone, and that's never a good strategy as a boss. That's, when you do that and you double down, you don't want to apologize and stay firm on your stance and stuff. 9 times out of 10, those leaders find other employment, other places of employment, or they get demoted. Okay, so yeah, um, that's what I wanted to talk about, guys, and what you think in the comment section. And we'll just wait and see how this plays out and develop. I feel like it's gonna blow over, but I do see cracks in their relationship, in their chemistry. And if I was Shannon Sharpe, I would not utilize any energy on this recent uh, issue or this recent episode and just keep it pushing. And I think, and when I was watching the clip, that's what Shannon Sharpe was doing. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this. I'm not even going to talk about this. I'm just going to just, laugh it off and just keep moving with the show. Maybe when the show is over with, they had time to talk to one another and say, "Hey, yo, I know you pranked me. I know it was funny, but hey, look, man, just chill out on it, okay?" I feel like another thing, and like I said, I don't know Shannon Sharpe and I don't know Chad Johnson. I don't talk to, we're not neighbors or anything. But I feel like the next thing they need to do, they need to do more shows in person. Now I know they have done like a little tour or something, and they have been together. I feel like if they're in the same studio, I don't think these issues would keep cropping up. Okay. And when you're doing things like in a Zoom call, hey, things happen. Technical difficulties. We talked about that in the last video about Shannon Sharpe having issues about technical difficulties. That stuff just happens. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, you can talk until you're blue into your face. That's going to happen regardless. Okay, the networks have to deal with that. Shannon Sharpe, you want to treat yourself as a brand. You want to treat yourself as a network. You're going to have to deal with it as well. And so that's just going to happen. Okay, but I feel like they should do more shows in person together instead of doing these Zoom conference calls. Okay, understand that Shannon Sharpe. At the end of the day, that probably benefits Shannon Sharpe because he's a busy man. He's doing Club Shay Shay. He's doing ESPN. All that jazz. But for Chad Johnson, this really, I'm pretty sure he does podcasts. He's a guest on other podcasts or whatever. It shouldn't be that hard for Chad Johnson to do this in person versus Shannon Sharpe. Okay, maybe Shannon Sharpe will have to bring him along when he's at ESPN or when he's doing these other things. Now, someone was saying in the comments that Shannon Sharpe starting to turn into Stephen A. Smith. He's got a lot of Stephen A. Smith in him. And a lot of people are implying that he's starting to become a diva. Shannon Sharpe has always had these diva-like tendencies. Even when he was, at Fox Sports 1. And I feel like having diva-like tendencies when you are an employee, uh, you can work around that. But when you are the employer and you have these diva-like, you have to humble yourself, because a lot of people that's going to be working for you are not like you. They come from totally different backgrounds. So you have to uh, blend in with your workforce. Your workforce doesn't blend into you. Now, when I mean blend in, I'm not talking about you just let your workforce do whatever they want to do. No, you have to blend in with your workforce, because you got so many different personalities, you got so many different places and backgrounds and lifestyles and things of that nature. You're not going to be educated to understand everyone's individuality. Okay, that that's just me saying that. But that's all I got for today, guys. Tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys when I see you. Deuces.